like I'm feeling on top of the world, like nothing's ever gonna bring me down. This feeling got me flying high as a bird. I may never touch the ground. It may not be my birthday, but I just wanna celebrate.
Alright, let's go. Let's do this. Hello, our friends. Welcome to episode 45 of the Waft. I am Dwight.
And I am Emily.
And we are life enthusiasts here to bring you joy, laughter, sadness, hopefully no sadness, some tears of joy. We'll call it that. We are six-figure business owners in the form of Cycle Bar West Omaha, 5 figures of debt, soon to be 4 figures of debt, soon to be 0 debt, as we discussed last week. And welcome. Welcome.
Let's not do that. Let's not.
Let's not say we did. Anyone need Jell-O salad recently?
God.
Oh, goodness. Let's just get down to business. This week, for those Cycle Bar members that tune into this weekly, Emily teaches a class every Sunday, and that's when we're recording this. Her class is called Mindset. So we wanted to just dive a little bit into overcoming a negative mindset, or what we find works for overcoming a negative mindset. Again, the things we talk about here are really just like how we get over things. If you can pull out little nuggets and use them, awesome. If not, no worries. There's a million ways to say goodbye, as the band Train would say.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
I mean, what brought on this topic of discussion was, I mean, we deal with it all the time as business owners, but what really sparked it was this past month. So basically, historically, how our cancellations of membership work is we'll go like 2 months with like very minimal. And then what is it? Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Like literally when people do cancel, they all call each other and they're like, we're all going to cancel in the same month.
Today. Not the same month. Today.
So the same day. Like within the same week, like we will get all the cancels that we haven't had for 2 months in 1 week. And it feels like the world, or used to feel like the world is ending, and it really kind of fucks with your vibe. So that happened. This December was the month that everyone talked to each other at Cycle Bar, and everyone was like, if we're going to cancel, let's all do it right
today.
now.
Because we get emails, because they have to send a written notice, so it'd be an either email or a text message. And like it was like my nutsack was hanging out, and it was just like bang, 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 cancel, cancel, cancel.
Yeah. And
it sucked. Mm-hmm. But after 3 years, we have learned to cope with that, and it'd be very easy to get into a negative mindset when that happens, or for you at home listening, when the cat shits on the floor, the dog poops on the floor, the kid pukes. Like Murphy's Law, when something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So like it happens, and it's really easy to spiral when negative things happen. For me personally, I do not like when people are like, but like Susie over there, this all happened to her, or they're like, they equate it to like a different situation where it's just
or like
it's
you
not
could
relatable.
have cancer and at least you're healthy.
It's not relatable.
Yeah, but at least like in this scenario, this is a big deal to us.
Yeah, I don't like when people relate it to things. Personally, I like to step away and just evaluate it and be like, okay, what is the actual negative situation here? Because sometimes right there, if you just remove yourself from it and then take a breath and think, you're like, that really isn't that fucking bad. Like that's step one for me.
I think it is important to be honest though. Like you were like, I don't want to check the fucking email. Like it does, like there is going to be that level of stress.
Yes, I'm just saying that's step one. Step away and just be like, okay, what's going on here? And then I'm like, we've been here before. So the nice thing is, once you step away, I think a lot of times you can be like, we've been here before. Whatever the situation is, like you've survived 100% of your bad days. So most likely you can relate it to something like, okay, been here before. And then the next thing I like to do is just look at the big picture and start to like pull out what is going on, because out of these 30 plus cancels, which again was just hit after hit in the nutsack, 90% of them haven't been utilizing their membership. So it's just like, okay, that sucks, but they aren't riding anyway. So realistically, like as business owners,
cancels waiting to happen.
They were just cancels waiting to happen. Yep. So looking at the big picture, there's not much that we could have done differently. Mm-hmm. So like, why beat ourselves up over something that we really didn't have a control over?
If someone isn't riding and they cancel, it's a punch in the beanbags, but it's not like if Sandra was like, I'm canceling my membership, I would sell Cycle Bar. I'd be like, well, clearly we're failing. Yeah. If people who ride all the time cancel, then that's like way harder to deal with than if it's like, well, they're not riding anyway. It was a prolonged cancel. So yeah, you could kind of take a step back and be like
taking a step back. And if we were to write on the names on a board, it'd be like, okay, these 27 haven't even rode in the last month, or they've only rode 2 times out of the 4 times they could be riding.
Yeah.
And then the next step after you kind of evaluate it for us is how can you turn it into a positive? So from my standpoint as the salesperson, I looked at our sales structure and I figured out a way to essentially our new members are offsetting those, and instead of having the really low barrier entry offer, which these people signed up at, and they're probably a cancel waiting to happen, people are now paying more when they sign up, which means they're more involved, which offsets the cost quicker. So it's really a positive because now those people are going to be more involved in the community right away and not fall into this cycle that these canceling members are. And I think you like to say, getting the most squeeze out of the juice.
Squeeze the juice out of it.
Squeeze that juice.
I heard that, and I really liked that metaphor.
Is it squeeze the juice out of all negative situations?
Or everything. So every situation, you should try to squeeze the juice out of it, because which basically means there's value in every situation. So even 30 membership cancels come in one day, there is value in that situation if you choose to squeeze the juice out of it. So it's like, okay, we take a step back and we think about, okay, let's find the value in this. Well, it gives us an opportunity to adjust our structure and to sell memberships differently. So like, there's value in it. Or like when this happened last month, I think the first thing when we were talking about it, I said was we've had this like flow of cancellations ever since we opened. And when they first happened, like the first couple times we had those mass cancels, we thought the world was ending. I remember being like, I'm not built for this life. Like, I cannot handle this stress. It is too like emotional for me. Like, we have everything invested in this. And so those cancels, when they would come in, felt like a real kick in the dick. Yep. And so when this happened this month, I actually said, you know what? Like the positive that I take out of this, the juice that I squeeze out of this, is that we're getting mentally stronger, because it didn't fuck with me. I mean, it did like a little bit, like I was like, oh, it's a little stressful at first, but I was like, my emotional capacity to deal with hard things ever since we opened our business has like quadrupled. Yeah. So to me, the value was like, oh wow, Emily, like you're learning that you can handle hard things. And I think like a great example of that is when before we opened, we hosted a boot camp to get our instructors. So master instructor comes, you have all the people come, they try out, it's 3 days, you have to make cuts. We had to make the cuts. And so the first one we called and cut basically turned around, didn't take it well, and blasted us on Facebook. And I remember like calling my dad, bawling, being like, oh my God, we're going to fail. We're not even open. And this lady is blasting us on Facebook. And it literally felt like the end of the world. Like we were in Broadmoor. I remember sitting on the couch. Like I remember it so clearly, calling Kari, calling Tevia, being like, holy fucking shit, we're going to fail. Yep. And it was the end of the world. And now we've had a million of those shitty things, aka COVID and breaking up with other members, and all of this shit happens. And every time I feel like I stress a little bit less because I've learned my emotional capacity. Like I've survived 100% of those days. So now when they happen,
the way I look at
I can approach it way differently.
The way I look at it is kind of like we've learned from those. And like I always say, whether it's this or like I'm very outgoing, I always say, like, is this going to matter in a day, in a week, in a month? And at the time, if you really are, like, focusing on it, it's like, yeah, this is going to be the end of the world if, like, this sucks. But look at all the other situations that happen. A day later, you forget about it. A week later, if it's really bad, you forget about it. Or if it's something catastrophic, a month later, it's probably gone. Mm-hmm. Like, it sounds simple, but it's just, like, break it down into little steps. Yep. And that's, I think, the biggest thing, just speaking this out loud. Breaking it into little steps instead of looking at the massive pile of shit and being like, how am I going to clean this up? It's like just scoop a little here, scoop a little there, and then
Perspective.
it's manageable. And yeah, and it's like we've all been through shitty stuff. So just look at the other things you've been through.
And use that as proof.
That it's, yeah.
Yeah. I think that saying is like, if you're not going to worry about it a year from now, don't spend 5 minutes on it today. And I think that is so true. Like all those scenarios I just listed, like I don't worry about them. I haven't worried about them. So it's like, I shouldn't have spent 5 minutes of my energy on it then.
And something else I just thought about, a lot of times we get down this rabbit hole, this negative like downward spiral, and then we start thinking things that aren't even true, that haven't even happened yet.
Yep.
And then we're just like, this is what's going to happen. It's like, why are you even thinking that? Right. That hasn't happened.
Yep.
And normally, like, when we send, like, for perspective for us, when we send an email or a text, and I'm like, oh, shit. 9 times out of 10, the person goes back and says, oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yep. And that's it. And, like, we have already previously put these, like, negative notions in that they're about to be angry or say this. And 9 times out of 10, it's not even that. So.
I think so much of the time you spend your energy worrying about things that haven't happened yet and aren't actually going to happen. But you spend your time wasting your energy worrying about it. Yep. I've definitely done that. And so it's reminding myself of that. Is like, Emily, you're worrying about something that hasn't happened and isn't going to happen. So it's like, it's not worth the energy.
Yeah.
So.
And to wrap it up, I think if you have someone, like, we can bounce off each other, which is nice. In the event you don't have someone to bounce off of, a simple solution when shit goes wrong, shut your laptop, shut your phone, and go outside and just walk, move. Because it really just removes you from the situation and allows you that 5 minutes, 10 minutes to just forget about it or just walk it off. And then when you come back, you can kind of look at it with a more clear lens. Yeah,
like we talked about yesterday in our meeting, like put a pause before the action and the reaction. So it's like the action happens, you get all the emails, pause before the reaction, like take a breath, take a moment, analyze, do whatever you need to do so that you can come back to it with a more like practical, rational.
Same thing can be said is when you start to have those negative thoughts, you're like, oh, the worst case is going to happen, yada, yada, yada. Just, again, pause, walk, clear your mind, then come back to it. And that's how we have over 3+ years of business now made it through the toughest of situations.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
So, hopefully that helped. And we need to work on an outro other than the Peace Out Cub Scouts.
Until next time.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.
Bye-bye.
Bing bong!
But I just want to celebrate.